Welcome back, it's Jennifer, and I hope your week is off to a good start. Today I am sharing how to create a fun version of a spinner card. This actually has a Z fold to it, so it's a very unique style of card. I have two examples showing this. You can see the two here. I use products from Fawn on these along with a few other things. And I thought it'd be best if I show you how the cards work before we jump into making them. So when you take the card out of the envelope, you just open it up, and as you open it, the little image spins on the card. So here's the second one. If you watch the little bear in the center, when I open it, he spins around like he's ice skating. This is really fun and easy to do, and you can do with many different products that you may already have. So let's start with the first card that has these cute little otters on it. For these Z-fold spinner cards, you need to start with a piece of cardstock cut in half. So I cut it in half, so I have two pieces that are 8.5 by 5.5. The first thing I'm going to do is score them in half, so I end up with a side folding 4.25 by 5.5 inch note card. So this is how I usually go about making my own note cards, and you need to start with a typical note card like this to create this card. Now the next thing I'm going to do is stamp on all sides of this note card with this Honeybee Ocean Borders stamp. It's a huge stamp, almost 6 by 6, and it can cover the front of a card either vertical or horizontal, and it's a really cool wave pattern. So I'm going to stamp this on all sides of my card, and I want to kind of stamp it in the same position each time. So I'm using my MISTI. You do not need to use your MISTI for this. I just find it very handy. And I'm going to put my folded note card in here. And notice I have it a 1/2 inch from the side and a 1/4 inch from the bottom. And every time I'm going to stamp in that same location. You don't need to do that, but I'll show you why in a moment. Now I'm going to stamp on this with the Fawn Mermaid ink. This is a great ink. Beautiful color, and it'll give me a nice tone-on-tone with this Audrey blue cardstock from Simon Says Stamp that I used. This is a big stamp, so I got to put a lot of muscle into it to make sure I get a complete image. Now again, I'm going to repeat this process on the other side of the card now. And once I stamp on the other side, I'm going to open my card up and flip it inside out and stamp on both parts of the inside. You could probably get away with not stamping on all sides, but I think it looks really cool in this final card design. If you don't have a background stamp like this one, you could just take any image and repeatedly stamp it over the background to kind of create your own background stamp. Okay, so now I've stamped it on all 4 sides. So you take a look at this. I have this image on the front, the back, and the inside of the card. That background stamp is so beautiful. Okay, so now it's time to do the Z fold. To do this, I need to fold the front of my card in half. Now I want to create a score line that's halfway on the front of the card, and that's a 4.25 inch wide card, so half of that is 2 1/8. So what I'm going to do is I use my trimmer here to do my scoring. You could use a scoring tool if you want. At 2 1/8 of an inch, I'm putting a little mark on my tool here so you can see where that is. I'm lining up my score line at that 2 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to do another score line. So this gives me a score line right at the center of the front of my card. And now I can just fold my card over, just the front, to meet with the edge of the card, and then I can score that down or just really reinforce that. And because I stamped my background how I did in the same place each time, you can see my pattern is continuous across the front. And if you're one of those people who likes everything to match up, that's very helpful. And I did that by stamping in the same position on all 4 sides of the card when I used it in my MISTI. Okay, so now I have a 2.5 inch circle die from my Hero Arts Circle Infinity die set, and I'm going to just die cut this from that folded part. So I'm going to flip my card open, but keep that front folded over, run that through my die cut machine, and that's going to cut through the front of the card. And check this out, when I open up my card now, I have a hole right in the front. So we have a place where we can do our little spinner, and we have that fun Z fold design. So here I can just open it up like that, and so that is how our card will open and close. Okay, so I'm using this new stamp set. This is a Stamp Timber exclusive stamp set that is a collaboration between Simon Says Stamp and Fawn. You can only get this at Simon Says Stamp, and I think it's for a limited time. It is a fantastic set. There are holiday images, non-holiday images, some really sweet sentiments. I made mine a non-holiday card, and I just can't get enough of how cute these are. Now what I'm going to do is stamp the little double otter and the little hearts with Hero Art's Black Intense ink on some Nina white cardstock. I'm using this ink in this cardstock because it's good for using with copics. I also need to double stamp, or actually stamp 2 of those little otters, because we need a front and a back image. So that's why I stamped the same one twice. Before I ever do any copic coloring, I make sure to heat set my ink because I don't want any of it to bleed. Okay, so now I'm going to do some quick copic coloring here. I'm not a pro at this, so I'm not going to waste your time showing you my coloring, but I did put the colors up there in the corner, and I colored both of the otter images with the same coloring. You can change one up if you want to a bit, maybe put different things in his hands or whatever, but for this card I decided to have them identical, so when he spins around he looks the same on the front and the back. I also did all this brown coloring and then added a little bit of R30 to his belly and to his cheeks and to the bottom of his paws. That's kind of like a peachish color, just to add a little pink highlight to it. Now I have these 2 little girl otters since I'm sending this to my girlfriend. So I'm putting eyelashes on both of the little otters just to give them a cute little personality here. And then you see those extra little hearts that I stamped there and colored with red. I'm going to cut that small red heart out, and I'm going to tuck that into the paw of one of the otters on both images. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand cut these. I again love to hand cut my images right up against the stamp line, especially when it's a simple image like this one. Then after I've cut it out, I use my black Tombow marker to put some black on the edge so you don't see that white edge. Now I'm gluing these back to back, and I don't want any of the white back to show through on the other side. So I'm putting a little bit of black on the back edge of both of these. So if I didn't cut them perfectly identically when I glue them back to back, it won't show. Now I'm using my craft knife to carefully cut around this little paw on the otter so that I can tuck one of those tiny little hearts into the paw. So it looks like he's kind of holding it. So I put a little drop of glue and I'm tucking it in under that paw, and I'm going to do that on both of my little otter images. I like that lawn fawn leaves little room there so you can have him hold different things. Now I've got my 2 images done here. I'm going to go back and add a little more of that R30 to the cheeks just to kind of brighten it up. And I'm also going to add a little bit of Stella shimmer to his cheeks and to the heart so that they have a little bit of shimmer just to catch the eye. And again, I'm going to do that to both of the pieces. Next, I want to stamp my sentiment. And if you look here, the sentiment is kind of arched along the circle element of our card. To do this, I'm taking that scrap circle that we cut out of the center of our card, and I'm temporarily taping that to our acrylic block. Now I'm taking my long sentiment and I'm putting it onto the acrylic block along that circle edge, so that I get my sentiment in the same arch as that circle, so it follows the circle on the front of our card. So now I'm taking that same circle, putting it in its place on the front, so I kind of have a guide of where to stamp my sentiment. Just taping it there temporarily, using my anti-static powder tool, and then stamping with Versamark ink, and that curve matches up with that circle. Now we can remove the circle and add our white embossing powder to this and heat set it. And because I followed that circle each time, I can be sure that this sentiment follows the arch of our circle. So we kind of have a nice complete circular element on the front of our card. So this particular stamp and this stamp set kind of has a little arch to begin with, but you could take any long sentiment and kind of arch it on your acrylic block and get a completely different look out of it. And I'll show you that on the next example. Okay, so now I have a white circle that I die cut using 1 size smaller of a circle die. I'm going to glue that right into the center just as a focal point. And now I need to add adhesive to the back of both of these little otter images. I have a piece of release paper from some double-sided adhesive that I'm putting underneath my work surface here so that when I add my adhesive, it doesn't make a mess of my work surface. That's a handy thing to do with that extra release paper. I'm also putting 2 pieces of very strong double-sided tape right at the center of these so I can be sure that these don't come off of our clear thread that I'm about to use. So here's my clear thread here, and I'm going to put that right down the center of one of the images, and then I'm going to put the other one right on top of that so that the clear thread is sandwiched between the two. So now I can have them kind of floating in that center and they will spin freely. If you don't have clear thread, you could use fishing twine, or you could just use any kind of thin thread. Okay, so now I've kind of folded open my card on the front. So you can see that's kind of open there. You can't see the sentiment at the moment. I'm going to just temporarily tape down our clear thread right along that crease line. And I'm just going to kind of hold it there so that we can add some liquid adhesive to hold the thread in that crease line. Now, if you wanted to, you could just use a small piece of Scotch tape in a few different places here, because this is really the back of the card, so nobody's really going to look at it. But what I did is I just ran my strong liquid adhesive, which is Ranger Multi-Medium and the matte finish, right along that crease line. And that holds that clear thread in there. I'm also going to temporarily tape this string to the back of the card just so it stays close and tight to the card as that adhesive dries. Now this adhesive will dry clear and you really won't notice that clear thread adhered right into the crease on the back of the card here. Now I gave that some time to dry, and now I can remove that temporary tape that I have here. By the way, that's micropore tape, and I find that if you just roll it with your fingers, it rolls right off without damaging your paper. Now I'm going to take that extra clear thread and just trim it off the top and the bottom of my card. Nobody will ever notice that that is glued to that crease on the other side of the card. So this allows that cute little otter to kind of float on the front, and since the same image is on the front and the back, it'll always look nice. You're never looking at the back of the image. Now what I like to do when I put this in an envelope is to kind of spin it a bunch. So see me forcing it to spin a bunch. Then I close it down, stick it in the envelope, so that when they take it out of the envelope and open it, it spins a ton. So I'm kind of pre-spinning it so that it's tightly wound, and when they open it, it just spins like crazy, and it really is a fun kind of card to make. Now I did decide also to stamp a little double heart in the center of that white circle, so when you open up the card, you'll see that cute little double heart inside. I also stamped that same wave background on the flap of our envelope so it matches nicely. And by the way, I wanted to show you up close. You can't see the adhesive that adheres that little bit of string to the back side of the card, so nobody will ever know. Okay, next I wanted to show you one other example using another Lawn Fawn stamp set. And this one I kind of pulled together much better because I knew what I was doing at this point. For this one, I'm using the Lawn Fawn Beary Happy Holidays stamp set. The nice thing about this one is it has the front and the back side image of this cute little bear. So you can stamp and color and die cut these, and they will match up nicely, which is perfect for a spinner card. And there's also a message that says "You make my heart spin," which is perfect for a spinner card also. So I stamped these and I colored them with Copic markers, and now I'm using those coordinating dies to cut them out. And check this out, they will glue together back to back perfectly. So this time you'll see the front and the back of this cute little bear. So I again created a side folding 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card out of a pool colored cardstock. This time I'm going to stamp all 4 sides of the card with this Simon Says Stamp Falling Snow background stamp. To use a background cling stamp like this in your MISTI, you have to remove that black foam pad, and then it works nicely. So just as before, I'm just adding my note card into the MISTI and stamping in the same position on all 4 sides of the card, this time with that Falling Snow background stamp, and here are its unicorn white ink. So this gives me a nice white image against that pool cardstock. I like this because it's subtle and it doesn't distract from that cute little bear that we're going to add to it. Now this is a pigment ink, so each time I'm making sure to heat set it so that I don't smear it when I go to stamp the other sides. So I've stamped all 4 sides here, and it's time to create that fold in the front of our card. So I'm going to open up the card and put it into my trimmer. Again, I use my trimmer just to do my scoring. And 2/8 of an inch from the crease line, I'm going to do another score line. This will allow me to fold the front of our card in half. I really like this Z-fold design. I've used it many times in the past, but never for a spinner card, and it works great for spinner cards. So there I'm folding that over to create our fun Z-fold. One thing I learned on the last card is that I didn't get my circles centered on the front of the card. So here's the trick I did this time. I die cut that circle die from some scrap paper and folded that scrap circle in half. Now that fold line, I'm going to line up with the fold line on the front of my card. This will promise me that our circle is centered on our card, and this will give me better results. So I'm holding that circle there with those crease lines lined up, putting my circle die right over it. You could leave that white scrap circle there, but I kind of slid it out very carefully. Going to put some tape down to hold that in place. And I'll run this die and card through my big shot machine as I did before, so that it cuts just the front part of our card. And there we have our little Z fold with that circle cut out. And this time it'll be nice and centered. I again have a long sentiment from the stamp set that I want to stamp at an arch. So this time I'm just temporarily taping that die, the actual die that I used, onto my acrylic block and lining up my long sentiment along the edge of that die onto the acrylic block. So I know that it's the perfect arch to match my circle. And now I'm going to stamp that with Versamark ink onto our card, and then I'll add white embossing powder once again. Now, one thing I learned here is that I actually put my string, my clear thread, onto the card at this point. But when I went to heat set this white embossing powder, I melted that string. So don't add your string till the end because heat will melt it, and I learned the hard way. So I went ahead and did my thread again. Just like I did before, I glued that clear thread right along that crease line on the front of the card. This time I did the thread before I added my little guys onto it, my little stamped images. You could do it either way. But right now it's hard to see there, but that clear thread is attached to that crease line. So now I can take both of our little stamped images and put lots of adhesive on the back of them. You want to be generous with adhesive because you want them to stay put on that clear thread and not shift. So this one's on the back of the thread, this one will go on the front of the thread, and now I have this cute little bear, both the front and the back of him, that will spin nicely on the front of this card. I can't get enough of how cute this image is along with that sentiment that says "You make my heart spin." Now to finish this off, I stamped a double heart on the inside once again, added a little red coloring to it and some Wink of Stella shimmer. And that's it. We have this cute little bear who spins around like he's ice skating on this card. Again, I stamped that falling snow background stamp just on the flap of the envelope so it matched perfectly. And I wound that up so that when the person opens this up, you can see it opens and he does a little bit of spinning. So this is a really fun card. You can do this with any images where you have a front and a back or where the image is symmetrical, like the otter stamp that I showed you earlier. If you don't have any images like that, you could just die cut 2 small circles, stamp on both sides, and glue those back to back on the string. So there you have it, a fun Z-fold spinner card. All the supplies are linked below in my YouTube description, but go over to my blog for more information. In the middle are 2 other spinning type cards that you might want to check out. I appreciate you stopping by. Have a great week, and I hope to see you back soon.